All right, I'm DJ, and I'm sitting here with Mr. Smith. I'm not going to say his full name or give y'all much detail on him. I'm going to let him answer that stuff, but I will say he's a World War II veteran, and I appreciate his time, and I appreciate him being able to do this with me because it does mean a lot to me. It's something I've been wanting to do for a very, very long time. Mr. Smith, my first question for you is, what is your full name?
Ernest Marvin Smith.
Ernest Marvin Smith. What year and what month and day were you born?
I was born 1919, the 17th of September.
Yes, sir. Good night.
3 days ago.
What was your earliest memory growing up? Like one of the most first memories you have?
Well, the first remembrance I had was about 4 years old. Back then, dogs was taking fits. And one of them dogs took a fit. That scared the fool out of me. And laying there kicking and slobbering. And my neighbor picked me up in his arms. And that's the first thing I remember. I was 4 years old.
4 years old, wow. Did that dog scare you?
That scared me. That dog, I didn't know what in the world was going on. But anyhow, but he wasn't bold old false face when I was growing up. He played Santa Claus. And he come out there and had my neighbor take me out to the barn, and he met between the barn and the house with that false face. And that's another time it scared me bad. That Santa Claus coming up there to catch me. And then when I got up about 8 or 10 years old, he made moonshine. That's where he raised me. Growing, selling liquor, making liquor. We call it liquor. And he was breaking land with a mule in the field, and somebody come to buy some liquor, and he left the mule standing. And I got a hold of that little plow hole in the plow house up way up over my head. And I broke a piece of ground about 10 feet long, wide up through when he got back. Well, anyhow, he went got the handsaw and the brace bit. He'd come by and cut them plow holes off and set it down where I could reach it. And then that's where I made my mistake. I was done all the plowing from then on.
When he scared you with that false face, was Santa Claus pretty much over for you? You didn't really care much for Santa after that?
It scared me bad. I didn't have seen nothing like that. Anyhow, I got up big enough, about 16-year-old, went to work at the sawmill, driving a team, dragging them logs. $10, I mean, $1.25 a day, 10 hours a day. I worked at that sawmill, and then I went to the furnace factory, worked in the furnace factory. I was working in the furnace factory. Actually, I got married and got a family started.
What was it like growing up in the 20s and the 30s? Was it easier or was it harder?
Well, it was rough time back then. Of course, I didn't know much about it. I was about 10 years old. But I remember my daddy. He always making liquor, and he got me to help him. Small carrying this sugar and that stuff into the woods and the wood, and we had it all making it that. There's one furnace we had built, and there's a rattlesnake using around that furnace. He'd come in the morning, and he said, "Ern," he told me Ern. He said, "Ern," he said, "there's a rattlesnake around here." He said, "I see where it pooped around here." And we looked for that thing, couldn't find it. And I got in there one day getting wood, and I went in and blew the furnace on the branch, laid down to drink water, and there's a big log laying right beside the branch. And just as my head passed that branch, that rattlesnake was laying up on that log, and he just liked it up that much and licked me on the jaw. I thought, boy, we come from under there. And then he got rid of the snake.
Close call right there. Well, What was you done told me some of your scariest memories being scared by your dad. What was some of your funnest memories growing up? What was something y'all did for fun back then? Because I mean, y'all didn't have phones or nothing that we have now. I mean, we're entertained easily.
Yeah, boy,
What did y'all do for fun back then? Like growing up, what was something fun that you normally did?
I never got what you say.
Oh, I said, what did you do for fun growing up? Like what was something fun that y'all would do?
Well, we just had a little one horse plow farm, work right home, and
Dad, you used to shoot them bumblebee with a 22 rifle.
yeah, he would sit on the porch,
Shoot
yeah,
them bumblebee.
bumblebees. Y'all done just studied and shoot them bumblebees down.
They said they really worked on that bumblebee.
My daddy was off badly, cuss. He made liquor and he didn't live for the Lord. He was out. I was out there one day running a chicken and I fell down and got hit. When I got hurt, I got up and I gave that rooster a cuss. That was one mistake I made and a good mistake. But he got a limb, he wore me out. And I just wanted, Pop, I called him Pop. I said, Pop, what'd you whoop me for? I said, you do the same thing. But anyhow, that broke me. That was the first and the last cussing spell I remember taking. But after I got up big enough to go went to church and I got saved.
Amen.
And I was happy when Dad come in. I said, Pop, I said, I'll never quit helping you. And now I said, I got saved and I said, it's wrong for me to get in there and help you. I said, you just have to do it from here on out. So I just quit helping him. I went to work at the sawmill. But I got along pretty good.
Did your dad ever get right with the Lord?
Yeah.
Amen. That's a blessing.
Didn't have no way of getting the turf. Well, I had to walk. Back when I was small, I had the toothache real bad. I walked about 12 or 13 miles from where I lived. I walked to town and got my tooth pulled, and I walked back home. And
I'd cry like a baby if that was me. Goodness. Well, what was the sawmill like? What did you like working at the sawmill?
yeah, I worked. I dug logs in, and I tell all parts, the slabs, the lumber from the mill sometimes, and then. Because sometimes I was helping cut the timber. I just worked back and forth. I've done a little bit of all of it. But then I went to Berkeley, got married, and my wife used to come by. He had a whole bunch of sisters. They'd come by. They lived at Will on the other side of the mountain. They come across the mountain where my dad lived. I was going to church, and they got to come into the house, and I got to dating that girl, my wife. I enjoy, being with a girl I had. I finally, me and her got married. We raised had a boy and a girl. I was left-handed and she was right-handed. The first to come along was left-handed. The next to come along was right-handed, was a girl. And then when I went in service, he was born. I was finished up boot camp. And he was born the night that I was come home. I left to going back to boot camp, and he was 16 years old. 16 months old. First time I ever seen him. I got back after I went overseas, come back to California, and I was going to come home for a 10-day leave. I got called, and it was 10 days traveling time, 5 days each way, and I couldn't come home. And I called my wife and told her, I said, I can't make it. So I'd be all the time on the road. And then on that ship, just from one place to another. Got out there and was in phases, Okinawa. I assume we won. I don't know which come first, but anyhow, there's a suicide plane called WWll. Looked like it's about that big, and we had other planes up there trying to shoot him down. and they finally took a notion to dive. He dove right in a bunch of a convoy I was in, but he happened to miss with the ship I was on, hit another one right back end of it, an destroyer. It had depth charges on the back end, and blowed that up, and we got out. He seen it coming, and pulled the ship, drove the anchor, and went out, tried to get out from under it, but it got him anyhow. But he still could move around, but we come on out, got out there, and we set a small boat in next to the bank in Ocean next to the bank to draw the Japanese attention off of the little spot where we was at. I mean, we set that boat in there so they'd start firing at the boat so we could spot them. And they got shooting off from off of that mountain, shooting at us. And they turned them big heavy guns in on that mountain. It was terrible. It looked like they was gonna blow that mountain away. And after an hour or two, there was terrible scent come back, in the air. That gunpowder, it smelled like between gunpowder and blood. It just stinking smell. But we come on out, and a bunch of our people got shot down, crippled up. And they had two hospital ships out there. They loaded both of them up with wounded soldiers, and they brought several, I don't know how many, on the ship that I was on to try to keep them alive. But there's a lot of them, they just tore up so bad they died. And they put them in plastic bags and put them in what they call the chute, and then buried them in the sea. Just let them slide off in the sea.
All right.
How about y'all used to build smoke to hide your boat at night out in the harbor?
Yeah, them Japanese planes, people, they was crazy. They was told that they was give them a message to go out and die for the country, and they come back and have a beautiful place to live and a nice wife and all that stuff to come back to. They get in them planes. But anyhow, that one that we shot that fell coming out, and another one come over. We had a load of troops on the ship, and there's another suicide plane come in. Our plane's got to shoot and hit, and he come in a dive and hit the crow's nest on the ship that I was on, and glanced off into the water, and left a piece of the Jap on the board. It was a piece of a hand, a finger, and it's one of the guys that picked up that finger and carried it around 2 or 3 days short it does. And then later on, when that one come over and hit us, we hadn't manned it to mount our guns. But when we had a load of troops on, and when that plane started coming over, them troops all packed down in the stairway of the ship, and I could get down from downstairs. I couldn't get on my gun. I had to stay downstairs because it could climb up to that. And then we got after that. I don't really remember, but yeah, we pulled in some island over, and we pulled in on the bay. On one side there was a little mountain there, and they had shooting some kind of ammunition from on the back side of that little ridge over into the water where we was at, and the water hit them shells would go off hit the water, and hit the water looked like 20, 100 feet high, and that captains of them boat ships, they got command to drag it, to get out of the way. Well, I dragged it, went out to sea. Dragging the anchor didn't take time to pull it up. Drag it and get back out of the way. But on later, of a night, them Japanese would try to get in there of a night, inspect us, find us. And we had some kind of a smoke that we made. They burnt some kind of oil, and they, of a night they'd make that smoke and keep a harbor covered over in fog or smoke because they couldn't see through it. They couldn't see it.
Smart.
Every yeah, boat they won that they had a orders to not fire a shot because if they did, they was gonna make a flash. Then them Japanese would spot us. But anyhow, there was one plane got out. Suicide plane got out way out at sea. And he come in down low. He figured he hit upon something. But then, anyhow, he flew right over one of the small landing boats, and the boy was on the gun. He heard the sound of it coming, but he turned the gun on the sound, and for the shot, it passed over the end of the barrel, and then hit that plane. But that was against the law. But anyhow, it shot that plane down. It was about 400 feet from where I was at. Went across. You can see that Jap just moving. His hand was sitting in there to the plane today. I was trying to get that plane to go back up, but it was going down. But it went down out there. There was spotted, throw the spotlight up. But as far as I know, they never did charge that, put that guy that shot the plane down there. He didn't have to serve no sentence of it. But he did have orders not to fire a shot. But I'm glad he shot it down.
Now, Mr. Smith, did you enlist or were you drafted?
So,
Did you enlist or did you get drafted?
I was drafted.
Drafted. What year did you get drafted?
Well, it was right the year that they bombed Pearl Harbor. I don't remember what year it was.
You don't know?
43.
Yeah, 43, right? 43 or 42, right?
Pearl Harbor?
Yeah.
December 7,
Early
1941.
40s,
41.
Okay.
Yeah.
1941.
And when they hit Pearl Harbor, knocked it out, then they got the draft and everything they get a hold of, fill the place back where they killed all them soldiers. And I was in that draft, and I started service after Pearl Harbor.
Where were you at when you heard about Pearl Harbor?
Well, I was just at home. Just a civilian was running around in the home, but they drafted me in and put me in service. When I went in, they says, well, what branch of service you want in? The Navy, Army, or the Marines? I said, I was putting in the Navy. And sure enough, that's what I got.
What made you want to pick Navy?
Well, I'd heard a lot about the Army. I having to lay out in the weather and have to go through a lot of cold and suffer being in foxholes and stuff like that. I heard about all that stuff coming.
Yeah.
But I wanted to miss that. I wanted to stay on the ship. But when I got on the ship, then they got attacked from submarines. We thought it was a submarine. Got out to sea and picked up a convoy of whatever you call it, of fish. But they thought it picked it up. They thought it was a submarine, and they commanded to move back out to sea. And they found out it was just a bunch of fish. And they was that in the fish place a submarine.
That's funny. How you gonna think that's a submarine? I guess y'all are really cautious, weren't you? Just had to be cautious of your surroundings everywhere.
You what?
You had to be cautious of your surroundings when you're on the ship, like in water, above water, everywhere.
Yeah, I was in water all the time. I didn't get on land. But we come back to the when the closed the war, that we got credits to go into that country that have a vegetation whatever you want to call it. And I would get, I was afraid to get off the boat, but I'd get out there and get killed. I stayed on the boat.
Do you I'm trying to look at my questions right here. What do you think your scariest moment was on the ship?
Well, the scariest moment I reckon was the last plane I saw we was attacked with 4 and I saw 3 of them. But the last plane was coming straight beeline at us. The plane was out there just wide open as daylight, but anyhow, you could see it coming straight at us. And we had one big gun, a 5-inch gun. It's the biggest gun we had on the landing boat I was on. And they turned that big gun on that plane, and about, I'd say 400 yards from where we was at, they shot that plane down and hit that plane, and just a big black bunch of smoke. That was just real thrill me to see that down.
Do you think it's possible for there to be a World War III, or do you think we just have too much technology for that to happen?
I think I just think maybe it'll be another.
You think? Now, a little bit off the war subject, Mr. Ernest, did you ever think in a million years that you'd live to be 103 years old?
I had no ever had an idea that I'd ever live to be that long. What hurt me, one thing that hurt me bad was being away from home and couldn't get to see my family. And worrying about maybe I'd not get to come back and my wife would get married, maybe a drunk or something. The young ones have to grow up, something like that, and that worried me a lot. But I promised my Lord if He made me come back home, I'd live for Him.
Yeah.
And try to raise my family and thank the Lord. I was altered, and I got to come back home and got to raise my family. And say, well, I was going to church regular, and got to see all my young ones get saved, and just wanted.
Man, that is a blessing. It's always good to see your family get saved. What would you say, what made you, like, going back to when you were younger, what got you into church? What got you to get your life right?
What got me to go into church?
Yeah.
Well, my daddy, like I said, he made moonshine. My mama was Christian, and she was just a little thing. They carried, she take me to church for about 2 miles, across the ridge, and down to the river, and we'd have church. And when I got up, went to church several years, I got to thinking, the Lord was dealing with me. Said, if you don't make it don't get right to this revival, you ain't gonna make it to live on to be grow up. George, anything could happen to you. I just felt like my time was about up. So I just got thinking now, if I die, I'm gonna split hell wide open. I got to think how bad it was gonna be. I asked the Lord to save me, and I got saved, and I was saved from then on.
What year did you get saved?
I was about 16 years old. 16 or 18 years old, something like that.
Oh, I just had a question, I lost it. That makes me so mad. I had a question, I lost it right there. I was going to ask you, oh goodness gracious, I done forgot. I'm sorry, I had some written down, but I just ain't got to them yet. But did you think you'd ever make it out?
Well, yeah. I felt like I would get back home. I felt like the Lord was going to take care of me. I felt that much freedom that I was going to go through it and get come back home. I just didn't have no fear of getting killed. I just felt like I was going to make it.
Oh, man. Are you, I got a question, are you the last survivor from your ship, or is there more out there?
On the ship I was on?
Yeah.
Well, there was all of our group got saved. I mean, there was none of our group got killed. But
What about now?
I don't. There was two, one from Moreland and one from Old Fort, and that's the closest two I know of was around, you know, that I know that was them, you know. That fellow that lived in the Old Fort. I was going to come out of the repair ship, going to get into go to the repair ship to the station. I got my ship opened up for me to get on and go. His wife, that's one of these guys, his wife left home and come to New York where we was at, and she was planning on leaving, forcing her husband leaving. And he told her that she'd go back home and send her all the money to take care of it. And he didn't have no money to send her back home. He come to me and he borrowed, I believe it was $35. We didn't make nothing in service, but I saved a little bit of it. I did make, and I loaned him the $35 and he sent his wife back home. But as far as I know, I never did get the $35 back. But anyhow, it was well spent. He ended up getting his wife back home.
Do you know how many were on your ship?
I think I believe it was around 300 employees. I believe that's about what they was.
What were the living conditions like on the ship? Was it rough? Was it comfortable? Or
Well, it was both. Well, we'll go out there and get in a storm. That was a dangerous time. That ship was just rolling and raising up, falling back in that water. You could feel that the jar of that when they come back in the water. The old ship was quivering. And then of a night, the only way we could lay in the bed was lay on our stomach and reach out and get hold of a bed rail and hold to stay in the bed, sleep of the night. But after them storms, they get all right. But that, you know, first I got sick and I had got up one morning for breakfast, come in there and they had a bunch of old cooked fat pork meat for breakfast. And that meat was shaking and that place going up and down. I got sick. While you talking about dying, I couldn't have got those. I couldn't have died as fast as I got better. But anyhow, I couldn't get to the garbage barrel to throw up. I just to my plate. Just filled it full, so I tell you. And boy, I laid down in the bed. They told me to go back and get on my gun, get on my post at Schwartz or something. My time to spend. I told them I couldn't make it. I couldn't walk. I was just too very dead. The only thing I'd keep on my stomach was a dry soda cracker. I ate dry soda crackers for about a week. Finally got out of that.
Where were you, or when did y'all find out about what was going on with Hitler and everything? When did what was y'all's reaction to that?
What was that?
What was y'all's reaction when y'all found out what was going on in Germany with Hitler and everything, like how he was treating the Jews and everything?
Well, it was kind of scary, kind of dangerous news when we get them news about all that war, people getting killed. But I don't know. I just felt comfortable. Just to feel here, up there, when they were there for suicide, we come in, planes would come in. It just tied me up, scared me to death, you know. The time that they got shooting at us in that bay, I got around there behind the gun turrets stand, hid in behind it, to hide from them. from them shells coming off. But I make it through. The Lord took care of me, and I was thank the Lord for bringing this up.
Yes, sir. Like all glory to Him. Where were you when y'all found out about Hitler dying? When did you receive that news? What was your reaction to that news?
What now?
What was your reaction to the news of Hitler dying?
Oh, when the war stopped,
Yeah.
I was out seas there. They'd unloaded a load of troops, and the word come over they had surrendered, and that was a wonderful, wonderful news. To hear that they had surrendered, and that was right after they dropped that atomic bomb. We drove over on that. What's the name of that Japanese country?
Hiroshima
Yeah. Hiroshima?
No,
or Okinawa?
no. The name of the country over the fight was a fight.
I'm not even going
That
to try
old
to say it.
suicide place.
Oh, Japan?
Well, anyhow, can't think of the name of it.
And that's when y'all found out that it all stopped.
Yeah.
Well, y'all, I didn't have that many questions. I know y'all have some things. Does he want to
Yeah, if
say
you wanna
anything? Yeah.
Yeah, that's a picture of him.
That's his ship, and that little catalog is
His
got
ship?
wherever his ship went the whole time he was on it.
All right. Well, first I'm going to bring this out. So everybody, this is Mr. Ernest right here. Mr. Ernest, how old were you right there?
House. Sometime right after I met, we went through boot camp.
Went through boot camp. It's got a date on it? I don't think it does. Good gracious. Now, did y'all have to wear that all the time? Did y'all have to wear that out?
No. Well, when we was out of marching, we put one of them in camp. We could wear most things kind of clothes we wanted to go with. And doing the learning, teaching us what to do, everybody. We had to wear that certain suit. I remember that we went up to boot camp. One of the guys we had trails in the woods that was marching, going through that. And one fellow found a gang of a nest, a log full of little polecats. Well, he picked it up. Well, there was several of them little polecats brought up. I put them in the coal boxes. We're going to feed them, save them. But the captain of our platoon, he got a hold of it. He made him take the polecats back home.
Now, you said his ship's in here?
Yeah.
The picture of it? You know what
Yeah,
page?
the whole book. I didn't realize it, but that's
The whole book
Oh, wow.
is
like a dedication magazine for the
Ship
ship
I
that he
was
was
on.
Right there. I see your, did you like your commanding officer? Did you get along with him any?
Yeah, I got along with him fine.
There you go.
Yeah, I didn't get no trouble. I didn't argue with him. I just went along
Did any of the boys on your ship ever get in fights or brawls or anything? Did you ever get into a fight or a brawl?
no,
Y'all never fought?
no.
I was expecting a different answer. I really was.
Yeah,
But they didn't fight. Now, as a Christian, Mr. Ernest, was the temptation hard on the ship? Did they have alcohol or anything like that?
Well, I don't. If they had any alcohol, I don't know about it. I didn't have no dealings with alcohol. After I left home, well, before I left home, I got saved, and I used to drink a little bit of alcohol when I was helping my daddy make that moonshine. But after I got saved, I stopped that drinking. I'd take a drink of it the night when I come in from the field work hard, take a drink of that moonshine. That picked me up, boy. I built home far. I was ready to go again. But after I got saved, I quit drinking. thank the Lord that going up to the Lord and let Him take control of my head. I've been happy ever since.
Amen. What was life like after the war? How did things run smoothly? Was life better after the war?
Well, it was pretty rough when I got back out of the army. The war didn't have no home. I mean, no, just renting the place. And I was working at the shop, and I was buying groceries at the little store down here at the foot of the hill. I was buying groceries 2 weeks at a time on credit. I bought a little old house. I moved in a little renting house, and I asked that storekeeper if he just charged me for groceries for 2 weeks. And he looked at me kind of smiled. He said, well, he says, everybody's ever lived in that old house has beat me. He says, so I left the grocery bill. He said, I'll try you. But anyhow, he let me run a grocery bill for 2 weeks. I worked 2 weeks, and then I'd spend that 2 weeks for groceries for the next 2 weeks. And I got in with old man running the store, and he got that. They got me to come and drive his truck for it. And haul groceries around all over the country. I drive his little truck around and haul his groceries out. We went in over here on what's called Cotton Mill Hill. He had a place where he delivered groceries. And he went into one house. He's never knock at the door when he go in and he get a box of groceries. He would walk in with it. He went into one of the house. There's one of the ladies in the house. She had her foot up in the sink, washing her foot. And he'd come out here, this smile, my big smile all over his face. He said, you know what? He said, that won't put her foot up in the sink. Oh, you know, and it tickled him as it tickled me to tell him about catching that lady taking a bath out of with her foot up in the whole thing.
Guess you gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah.
Well,
Mr. Smith, was that
Bud Barber.
Bud Barber?
Yeah.
I heard, and I didn't know if it's true, but was he, Mrs. Barber? I heard that her father or her grandfather was one of the last Pony Express riders. Is that anything true to that?
Oh man, his name was Bud Barber. He used to run a grocery store down where that building is at. Just a little frame building. But he run that grocery store for years, and then he finally tore that down, built down. He had I believe it was 3 girls, and he bought land from this. I guess it's from this Mr. Shooten that owns that. But he had built 3 houses, and he bought able to give every one of his young a house. And then his daughter, she was working. Her youngest daughter was working at the hosier mill, and she quit the hosier mill and come back to the store. Got to helping Mr. Barber, her daddy, run the grocery store. And then after he died, and his wife died, and they divided up the bone, and he had made it in a will to give her his one that's come and stayed with the house and the store. And the rest of them got different money and got a house to pay. But that's all tore up because she got more than the rest of them, and she had done all the work. But that's the way it happens, you know. All the time one will come in and do everything, and then just try to get beat out of it. But she got to keep the store and the house, and the rest of them was all mad about it.
well,
I remember Miss Barber. I remember the little store, Miss Barber, when it was open.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, Bud Barber, he was a nice old guy, but he was was really tight, but he knew how to save money.
The cheap people do know how to save money. Well, Mr. Smith, what do you think about America today?
Well, it's a wonderful place to live, but it's dangerous. It's got the war that you don't lay down and be at peace no more. It's a mad world. There's so much dangerous going on, so you just wonder what's going to be next. Now, back when I was growing up, we stepped into an old house with to go to bed of a night and the door standing wide open, and just not a fear of nothing. And then now it's dangerous to go to bed with the little doors locked.
True. Might get a little controversial here, but everybody that knows me knows I don't care. What do you think about people thinking they can be dogs and cats and all that mess in America, and just the way they treat America and the way how they feel it's not fair and all that mess like that? What do you think to people about that?
What do you think about taking care of dogs or cats?
No.
He's familiar with what's going on
Is he? Does he know much about sort of how things are right now, or not really? Well, what do you think about the younger generation? Sort of how they act, like ungratefulness and stuff like that.
Well, the people, they got no respect for they're grown up. Their mamas and daddies and their friends, they don't have no respect for them no more.
Mm-mm.
They just get out there and the world is like a bunch of walls or something wall. They don't stay in the family group no more. There used to be a family group that stayed together, and they didn't move, got married or moved out. They built in close homes, but now they just spread all over the world. And a lot of them has got to where they can think they can make it. Does not work. Get out here and live under bridges and stuff like that. It's just terrible.
What do you think about young people not standing up for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Well, I think that they're crazy in one way of looking at it. It's stupid.
Mm-hmm.
Stupid life, living like that. Growing up, not having no respect for nothing.
I've seen one video one time on the internet. This person was in a classroom. They wouldn't stand up for the Pledge of Allegiance. Somebody went up behind them and kicked the chair out from under them and made them. They got up after that. But yeah, I just graduated. I graduated in December, but I walked the stage in May, and that's something that was a problem in high school. People wouldn't stand up for the Pledge of Allegiance. They wouldn't even say it. They'd just sit there on their phone and be real disrespectful about it.
Yeah, back well, I believe it was like 100 years old, 101. We had a birthday party over there. A bunch of soldier boys come and joined in at a birthday party, and they was really picky to get to be with me and have a birthday party with me.
Mr. Smith, I think everybody's dying to know this question. What is the secret to living a long, happy life?
Well, the secret is I look at it as living for the Lord. You can be happy and living for the Lord, knowing you're going to have a wonderful place to go to, and not be a fearing of going to split torment over. It's the wonderful life to live, because I know when your time comes that you're going to go to a better place.
Mm-hmm. Like you said earlier, you never thought you'd live to be this 103 years old. You never.
Oh no, I never dreamed I'd live to be 100 years old.
I tell my grandma, and my grandma was only 82, and she goes, "Honey, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to meet Jesus." I said, "Yeah, I know, Grandma." I said, "But you might have 20 more years left." And she goes, "DJ, don't you wish that on me?" Like she don't want to reach 100. I was talking to my cousin the other day. She goes, "Grandma's been saying she wanted to meet the Lord since I was a baby, and she was 60 then." She said she's just been ready to meet the Lord. I said she's been ready to meet the Lord since her 30s, man. But what are the downsizes of living to be so so long, living so long, what's the downsides of it? Like the negatives of it?
Well, the downside is that people just ain't got no respect. They're just like a bunch of animals running around here. Most young people, I mean, maybe not the most of them, but there's a lot. A lot of young people growing up and just out there running around like a bunch of chickens.
These high prices is a downside too. These high prices is a downside too.
Yeah,
It's unreal.
they just got that downside of living. Nothing don't seem right to live for.
Do you think the people in Washington are doing a poor job at running this country in today's time?
Sorry?
Do you think the people in Washington that are running this country are doing a poor job of doing it?
I think they're doing a poor job. A real bad poor job at it. I think if we get a bunch of Christian people in there running the government, we'd have a better place to live.
Amen.
I just feel like they're just out there for themselves. They ain't trying to help the country. You go to the news and they'll be they get in a bunch of supplies for themselves, money and property and everything coming to them. So they thought to get out here and help the world. So they getting the fat of the lamb. That's what they want to do. Take the rest of us, and the rest of them go. Just get out, turn us loose.
How many presidents have you lived through, and which one do you think was the best of your lifetime?
Well, Reagan and Clinton was two best presidents I think we've ever had.
Kind of shocked on the Clinton, I'm not gonna lie, I really am. But I did hear, like, I wasn't alive back when Bill Clinton was alive, but I heard that it was actually pretty good back then. I mean, do you recall any of that?
There was a lot more cooperation between Democrats and Republicans.
Oh yeah.
A lot more meeting in the middle than there is now.
It was just so divided.
It's more divided now than it's ever been.
Yeah. Yeah, things were actually they were actually able to accomplish things back then.
And actually agree on things.
Yeah, I think if we get a bunch of saved people in our running the Congress, running our government, we'd have a better place to live.
Amen. I agree 100%. I do. Well, he brought up, what do you think about all these high prices now?
Oh, people just got greedy.
Yeah.
They just find out that somebody has raised the price on pack of flour for a 5-pound pack of flour, raised it from $1 to $5 a bag. It's going to real good bill. It's going to price up real rich. They come mop up on this too. They just kind of double up everything. That's sold for $1. They try to put it up $4 or $5. It's a joke on it. Just so they get them a better advantage of it.
Now, did you ever think that you would see America go this far downhill in your life?
I had no idea. I had no idea it would go this way now. It just bad off, but
Never crossed your mind?
never had crossed my mind. No.
Do you ever, which I don't think you do, it's just a question, do you ever regret fighting for America?
No,
Nope.
no, never regretted. I just thank the Lord that I got to go and help defend my country. It just thrills me to know that I have a little part in helping taking care of it, keeping our other countries from coming in. I just rejoice over it.
Would you fight for the America today? The America that we have now and the state it's in and everything, would you fight for it today?
I go right back in again.
Man, that's a man right there. That's rough. Do you have you ever thought what would happen if you wanted to pick Navy? Like, what if you would have picked Army or Marine or something like that? Do you think you would have made it out and it'd be the same scenario, or not so much?
I never got it. What was the question?
Oh, I said, what do you think? Have you ever thought about it in your mind if you would have picked Marines or Army, and would there be a different outcome to what your outcome was for the Navy ship?
Well, I didn't think much about it, but I just felt like I was in a safer place in the Navy than I was in the Army or the Marines.
Yeah.
I just felt like that the Navy was more safer. But I guess maybe I was partly wrong. But there's plenty of danger out there on them boats. Because they're coming in on us from airplanes, ships, submarines. But thankful for the made it through it.
Now, I think this would be my last question for you. What would you say to my generation and young people? What is your advice for us? If you could leave this world with one thing, one main thing, what would you leave us with?
What would I regret to see? I regret the times get back good, and people get close to the Lord and live a heaven here on earth. I just like to see it be a wonderful place to live and be happy and not be scared to go to bed of a night.
Yeah. Any advice for a young person starting out?
You what?
Do you have any advice for a young person starting out and going into the real world for the newly graduates?
Well, the best thing I can say is just to get right with the Lord and live as dear as the Lord as you could. That's the most important thing you can do. You get right. Although you get saved and get on the way to heaven, there ain't nothing will beat that. That's the best insurance you get.
Yes, sir. All right. Well, before I end this, is there anything that I didn't ask you that you want to say, or anything that you'd like to tell anybody or tell us that I didn't ask you a question about?
Well, I appreciate guys like you that goes around and gets information and gets some of this bad time back maybe to some of the young people, and they go to thinking about it as, well, he lived for the Lord, he come through it. I'm gonna do the same thing. I want to pattern my life after it. If I could be a pattern after to get somebody saved, that thrilled my heart to the bottom.
Yeah. All right. Would y'all like to get up in the frame real quick before we end this out, you two?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, my biggest fear was to grow up and think maybe go back home and not come back home and my family, my wife would get married to a drunk or something, and my children would be suffer growing up. I just thank the Lord He let me come back home and help raise my little young right. Because of the church, it just thrilled my heart to think that I got to come back home and be with them.
Well, before I end this interview, I really do want to thank you, Mr. Smith, for your time. I appreciate you doing this for me. It means a lot to me.
I appreciate you coming and getting this little script of information.
Yes, sir. It means a lot. It really does. And I hopefully this video will not only be used to sort of make my generation wake up and be more respectful and to really see what these men like him went through, but also to see his testimony. Get your life right, follow Jesus, and get saved, because there is a heaven and there is a hell. And hell's still hot. That's what we like to say at my church. Hell's still hot. So I hope his testimony at almost 104 years old can impact you in some way. This is Mr. Farrell. He's the neighbor. This is his son, Mr. Ernest. And I just want to thank them, because if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't have had the contact with Mr. Ernest. But I just want to thank you, everybody, for watching. And
yeah, this September coming, I'll be 104 years old.
104 years old. If I live that long, I'm going to be pretty mad.
I'm able to get up for morning, cook for breakfast, eat breakfast.
Everybody said,
Do my chores. I walked about a half a mile this morning.
Goodness.
He does exercise.
He was telling me that you're plowing your own garden the other day, or the other few
Yeah,
weeks.
I took the tiller, went down there and broke that little patch up. But that dog broke me out. I didn't have how much strength left till I got it done.
I want that to be known to the young men too that are too lazy to work. He's 104 and he's working, so y'all need to get up and get out there too. So just keep that in mind for that. But we're out of here. Everybody want to wave at the camera? Say goodbye.